Yesterday, just before 5 p.m., police responded to a shooting call. This was at a business at 3700 South Council. Initial reports indicated that this was a possible active shooter that had arrived in the business there. Police had arrived at that location, taken action in that type of response. It was quickly learned that this was an altercation between two employees there at the business. The suspect had gotten into some type of verbal altercation over a work-related issue. After that argument had finished, had returned to the parking lot, grabbed a firearm out of their vehicle, went back inside. It was at that point that the suspect shot the victim. That victim was sadly pronounced deceased there at the scene. The suspect fled. Investigators quickly learned of the suspect vehicle. That suspect was found in the area of North I-35 and Highway 51, was attempted to be stopped by police, initiated a pursuit. Our Air 1 helicopter had arrived at that area fairly quickly, had monitored that from the air, at which point our ground units had stopped following the suspect. Other agencies became involved in that pursuit. That suspect had driven out into an area of Kingfisher County where they ultimately crashed. And that's really all I have on it at this point.
The suspect was barricaded in the car at one point. Do you know, did they die from injuries related to the rollover?
At this point, we're deferring all the questions on the death of the suspect to the medical examiner's office. And that's really as far as I can go on that.
Were there any witnesses there for the actual shooting that you guys were able to talk to?
That is something that we utilize. I don't know how many people actually witnessed the shooting, how many people they spoke with, but it's not uncommon for us to speak with witnesses regarding an incident such as this.
This is a pretty big warehouse. Do you know a specific department that it happened within?
I don't off the top of my head. I know there are a lot of buildings there. It is a very large business, a lot of buildings to that, and so I don't specifically know which one, but yeah, that's all I got.
This was a manager and a worker, correct? The manager was the victim?
It appears at the surface this was a supervisor and one of the persons that they supervised.
And sorry, go ahead.
Do you guys know if this was the first incident with this employee, with this manager, or just within the company?
I don't have the answer to that.
Any comment on workplace safety, just in general, within the city? I know that's probably going to be a pretty large topic of conversation following something like this.
Well, any time that there's a workplace tragedy such as this, it is a tragedy, tragedy for the victim and the suspect and their families. But our officers were willing and ready to search those buildings. They were given initial information that this could possibly be an active shooter, and so our police officers are trained and ready for situations such as this, and it'll be investigated in the same way we do all other investigations up to this point.
Do you guys know if that gun was legally in that man's possession?
I don't know. I don't know.
And you said that he had immediately left after the shooting. Was there anyone or anything that made you guys believe that he could have hurt other people?
At the time, we weren't given any information that we had other victims, but that is certainly something that we always consider anytime you have a suspect that leaves somewhere where a violent act has occurred. We obviously want to figure out who that is as quick as possible and attempt to take them into custody as quick as possible. And so our guys did just that.
And as it came in as a suspected active shooter, how quickly were officers able to get there?
I don't have a time reference point, but anytime there's a priority call of that nature, we are allowed to utilize our lights and sirens to get there as quickly as possible to preserve life. And so those protocols were followed.
Do you have a timetable of when the name of the suspect who died, his name will be released?
We're just waiting on the next of kin notification. So.
You might have already said this. Did the victim, was he pronounced dead at the scene, or was he taken to an area hospital first?
It's my understanding he was pronounced deceased at the scene. Yeah. That's really all I got.